We're back to continue our discussion about the hidden reasons behind the client's objections. I remind you that in the previous video, we talked about the not interested objections and the reasons behind it. If you haven't watched the first video, you should definitely go back and watch it. I'm Sadawy, and here on our channel, we share the latest in business science and research with over 350 intellectual properties registered, aiming to benefit everyone with it. If you're watching us for the first time, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our new content. May I have your attention, please? Hope you have enjoyed the game today. This episode will continue discussing our latest sales model developed for understanding and handling customers' objections, the Clienkey Objections Handling Model. Today, we'll talk about the second type of objections. Upon analyzing our study on clients' objections, we found that objections falling under the second main category, hesitation, has two sub-reasons. The first is that the client is unsure about their decision, not knowing if they're doing the right thing or not, and you can't understand why they're hesitant and where they're stuck in. They might say, actually, I feel like I'm not sure yet. Give me some more time to think more about it. We call this hesitation objections. The second sub-reason under the same category is fear of dealing with you personally, or fear of your product, which prevents them from making a purchase decision. And you might find them expressing negative sentiments to the point of doubting your integrity as a salesperson. We call these worry objections. For hesitation objections, we noticed two forms of objections. The first is when a client wants all the features of a high-spec product that is beyond their budget, and they're not satisfied with a lower-spec product that fits the budget. So, for example, the client might say, look, I want all these good features without exceeding this budget. Here, the client indirectly say to you, I don't know my priorities in purchasing. We realize that the best approach to deal with this kind of objections is a technique called ceiling, where you set a limit for the client's expectations and explain the direct relationship between the expectations and the purchasing power. The second form of hesitation objections, when the customer is hesitant about purchasing because it's their first time buying your product and they have no idea what kind of information to ask about or base their decision on. For instance, a first-time car buyer knows there are many details to consider, like maintenance and reliability, and whether the car would sell quickly in the future. They might say, sorry, I'm trying to understand the concept. Give me some more time to think it over, and I'll get back to you. Here, the client indirectly tells you, I need to know every single thing before making any decision. The simplest way to deal with this objection is a technique called lecture, where you provide the client with a brief course explaining an overview of the product, the competitors, their added values, moving on to the second, and some of the secrets of the industry. This way he can get your trust because he's seeking for more information and you're giving him what he's looking for. Moving on to the second sub-reason for worry objections. We analyze clients' calls and visits to pinpoint the reasons for these objections. We found they often come from either bad experience with a previous product or hearing about a bad experience from a friend, for example, leading to a negative impression. One of the best ways to address this objection is a technique called review, where we review with the client what happened in their previous experience, step by step, until you identify the mistake they or their friend made, with the goal of changing their belief that the problem isn't lying within the product itself, but within their buying process or decision-making process or purchasing habits. The second scenario of worry objections is when a client is naturally skeptical without having had any negative experience or even a reason for skepticism. In such cases, the easiest way to handle the objection is with a technique called logic, where we respond with rational, straightforward arguments, providing numbers, data, and concrete evidences, as this type of client will not accept anything else. And with that, we wrap up part 2 of this series and hope to see you again in the next episode. On our channel, we have shared the Clienkey sales models and understood the messages. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive the latest updates. See ya.